And Bob, we usually, while we've got our 3 minute delay here, giving people a chance to hop on. It's Friday. We talk about Friday things.
Like cutting the grass, football
Yeah.
games.
Usually,
Speaking of,
whatever you're going to imbibe later this evening. So, I think when Pash was on last, we were talking about tequilas.
I remember that.
Ah,
I remember that. Yeah, it might not be as exciting as tequila.
well, if it makes you feel any better, I've got to go fill a dumpster with a bunch of stuff around the house. So that's going to be a wonderful weekend for me.
I will be making a trip to storage. I have a couch, a desk, and I see some pictures that my wife wants me to send to the storage facility. So similar, but I have a nice 6 a.m. wake up call tomorrow. My two high school boys have their high school has they call it a round robin tomorrow up about an hour away from here. So bus takes off at 7:45. I got to get them. Their school's about 45 minutes from my house, so I got to get them there. And here we go.
wow.
Yeah, and if you got high school boys, how good are they at waking up in the morning?
Well, they go to school 45 minutes away, so they have to get up. They're up at around 6 a.m. every day. So they have to be up. When my son was a freshman, we were up at 5:30 because the bus picked him up at 6. He can now drive, he and his brother, so they can leave around 6:30. But yeah, they're not very talkative in the morning. And I'm unfortunately a morning person, so that doesn't bode well.
My oldest is hitting that age where we got to go downstairs and basically club him over the head to get out of bed.
That's my daughter,
kids,
not my son.
Yeah. Ooh, let me turn that off. Yeah.
Where in the country are you, Bob?
I'm in Michigan, so outside of Detroit.
So 45-minute run to school from...
Yeah, they go to a private school, so it's by choice.
Gotcha. And then I'm very curious because you've got Messenger and WhatsApp. What does Facebook use as the internal chat tool?
Workplace, which is basically Messenger.
Oh, right. Yes. That makes perfect sense.
A good question to ask because Workplace is a product we want people to buy.
Well, we gave Workplace a go at Dealer Refresh for a little bit.
Yeah, for what, 2 days?
Yeah, well, obviously, there's 3 of us, and then so didn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, maybe not for 3 people since you could you probably sit next to each other, but when you have a company of people scattered across offices and maybe even franchisees and whatnot, we're really seeing the adoption of Workplace grow. And there's very little learning curve because most users have Facebook, and it's essentially just Facebook, but for internal businesses. So it's been fun to watch. We've got a couple of dealer groups that are using Workplace, and it's actually brilliant for them to be able to communicate with their dealer body across the country, if not the world, and then for the dealers to be able to communicate from each other if they need to do any dealer trades or so on and so forth.
Yeah, I've heard of in one of our regular viewers and old time community members, Rick Buffkin. I think his group's been using WhatsApp for all their communication.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they really like it. So
I used that once, like 8 years ago.
You probably needed to call somebody overseas, was my guess, and it was free. WhatsApp, I believe, is the largest communication app outside of the U.S. I believe Facebook Messenger is here in the U.S., excluding text. I'm talking about the specific messaging apps. So I think we're seeing growing adoption here in the U.S. for WhatsApp. So we'll see where it goes, but WhatsApp has some great benefits.
Yeah,
just why we need another messaging service.
Right.
That one's been around for a while.
Oh, yeah.
So, Bob, for our audience today who might not know who you are, you mind giving us a little background on you? Your resume is impressive.
Appreciate that. I've had some great opportunities. I'll make it short. I'll do the elevator pitch on the resume, but I guess you could say I was very fortunate to date a woman in college whose parents at the time, before dealer groups were a thing, owned up to close to about 30 stores, a bunch up in the Northeast, and then there were two brother-in-laws. I was not a brother-in-law, but two brother-in-laws. So they started to build an empire out west, so they could split the brother-in-laws up so that they didn't, battle each other internally. So they ended up selling to Lithia, but nonetheless, I started right out of school selling cars as a commission-only salesperson, and spent time at F&I. Did a lot of work with Southeast Toyota, a lot of training, I should say, with Southeast Toyota because I was at a Toyota store. So did some GM training and F&I training, and never got to the service side. That was going to be my next rotation before the store got closed before the store got sold. But I went from there to Microsoft when if anybody remembers CarPoint, if I want to age some of you, getting the CarPoint lead via the fax machine, and then either trying to call or faxing back, your payment or your price back. So, and then CarPoint morphed into MSN and MSN Autos, and then got fortunately plucked by Yahoo from Microsoft, and then went to Hulu, and Hulu was a startup. So that was a lot of fun to be a part of a startup. I think I was employee 40 back in 2018. And it was owned by the TV network. So it's not like it's not like we all became filthy. Maybe the CEO became filthy rich, but the rest of us, I'm on with you. So clearly,
what are you saying?
That's a fair point. Clearly the money is.
I know we're not Johnny Carson, but all right.
And then here I am, man. I did a little internship. I call it a little 45-year-old internship. Actually, I'm probably closer to 40. Internship at Shazam. 6 of us left Hulu I honestly, I still think there was a great opportunity there. We didn't have the opportunity to do it, but Shazam was a really unique proposition. We were turning it into a media company, into a media research platform. And you think about it, because we could get Shazams down to the second. So Shazamming TV commercials, Shazamming radio commercials. We got into image Shazamming, if you want to call that, or image recognition. And here I am. Now I'm at Facebook 6 years in.
Yeah.
That is extensive.
Yeah. I mean, right. You've hit all the all the big consumer brands.
Listen, I'm close to 50, and I tell some of the younger folks in the business, I'm like, there isn't a product that I haven't probably had to sell, especially digitally. And you'll never hear of some of them because they don't exist anymore, right? Like they were the hottest thing that lasted 6 months, and then they went away, and next thing you know, we're on to the next sale and the next sale. So it's been fun. I always tell this experience. I mean, we were delivering ads at Microsoft or putting ads on the MSN properties before DoubleClick was a thing. I mean, we were hard coding, banners and buttons with the basic click-through URL. It wasn't no tracking tags. And I remember when DoubleClick became a thing for the agencies, I had this, I was an account manager at the time. I had to stop thousands of campaigns and create all new ones so we could redeliver the campaigns with the new, image source tag. And actually, they were 2 tags at the time. Now they're 1 tag. But here we are.
Wow.
I digress.
Yeah. Did you ever imagine advertising would get to where it is today?
Man, it's when I first started in digital, print was king, right? Outside of TV. TV was like the emperor, was where if you could get into TV, you were guaranteed, wealth. Just because of the way TV was bought, and guaranteed a country club membership and a car and all of the above. And second was print, and there were a lot more print entities, right? Because there are a ton more magazines out there. And my first couple of years, that's where I wanted to go. I mean, that's where the money was, and they gave you country club memberships, and you had company cars, and you had a good life. And I was like, man, I need to get there. I don't have any of that here at Microsoft. So. I didn't. I mean, Facebook. When I first was at Microsoft, it was MSN, Yahoo, and AOL. That's literally that garnered probably 95% of the budget. And then, believe it or not, like the LA Times I think the New York Post and maybe one other newspaper website had some volume that brand marketers wanted to buy. But other than that, it was just us three portals going after each other on the small digital market share that we could capture. And when I did my first, we called it lifestyle buy, our first non-automotive specific audience buy, right? Your non-MSN autos, they bought MSN Sports or MSN Money. It was like for 250 grand. And you would have thought I was like the king of the world. Like I brought in the most money that's non-auto at anybody. And I think we went out drinking in the whole 9 yards. So it's been a fun ride to think about it, to look back at what we did.
Yeah, 250 grand back then. Oh my God. That's yeah.
I remember running around the office screaming like, yeah, man, check this out. I remember I had a bunch of Microsoft engineers on the enterprise side. I felt like, who is this guy? I do that in like a minute.
Nice. Well, before we jump into some of the specifics we got for you today, let's add one more sort of more lifestyle question, and just curious what it's like working for Facebook.
It's a blast, man. I have a lot of passion. I think people see it, come through. I have a lot of passion for what we're looking to do in this space. And listen, we're not perfect. I'm not here to say we are. And we're always evolving and trying to always improve and fix, et cetera. But we're a big company, right? So comes with big company comes things that you have to do that you may not want to do, or things you have to focus on that you may not want to focus on. But nonetheless, this company is truly a blessing because they truly value their employees, want their employees to be taken care of, treat them as such. So I have a great deal of passion for this place, respect for this place, and most importantly, appreciation. So, but it's hard. I mean, I'm not going to sit there and try to tell you it's all bliss and happy. I mean, big companies, just like Microsoft and Yahoo, right? You've got to deal with what you got to deal with, and it can be tiring and exhausting and frustrating, but nonetheless, I think you can get that pretty much anywhere.
That's true. Yep.
Very true.
But not at Dealer Refresh, other than Dealer Refresh.
Well,
No.
we're a tiny company, so
I got to put up with Alex's shit.
yeah,
Right.
that's hard.
I know.
So one of the things that has been great about Facebook is the transition from the regular ad network for dealers and starting the automotive specific ads, or AIA. That was a lot of fun for agencies when it was like every payment ad was flagged for being predatory lender or something along those lines.
Well, that was a whole nother experience. HEC, we call it, right? Housing, employment, and credit. And I remember when that came to me and said, hey, there's this new policy that's going to hit. And I can't remember. I think it was November, December of 2018, I believe. I was like, great, right at the holidays. This is going to be fun. I feel like everything hits right at the holidays, and then holidays get I don't want to say ruined, but nonetheless, there's always something in the back of your mind that, needs to be done. But automotive inventory ads actually morphed from dynamic product ads. And dynamic product ads are still in existence. They're an e-commerce. It's really our e-commerce ad product. Facebook is got a lot of e-commerce products. But what the team did is we just said, man, this is a great product with a phenomenal optimization engine. How can we hack the DPA catalog to match vehicle inventory? So it was hacked. And we saw great success.
Isn't everything hacked at Facebook?
Pretty much, yeah.
Mark takes big pride in that.
Yeah, there's a lot of posters around regarding, hackathons and, move fast and break things, although that poster's been retired. It actually morphed from move fast to break things to move fast, break things, fix it quickly, or then I think they're like, we got to get rid of this poster because we got a lot going on. So,
and hacking's not a bad thing, by the way.
It's not, right? Like especially when done. I mean, listen, a lot of companies have come out from hacking a product or a solution or combining two products and solutions to figure out a need. So when we saw the performance, or the dealer saw the performance and the success, we said, look, this should be an auto product, so we can get automotive specific optimization engine against the automotive specific identifiers, right? Like trim and vehicle color and price and so on and so forth. So a product group was formed, and Automotive Inventory Ads is here.
Thankfully.
Thankfully, right.
Yes. So, Jeff, you were collecting a number of things from folks prior to the show going live.
Yeah, just asked a few of the community.
Some of them in here.
Well, so something comes to an end Monday, I guess, what the ad platform?
Yeah, no. So what comes to an end Monday is the ability to utilize a listing partner to ultimately bulk list or bulk load your inventory into Facebook Marketplace. We are deprecating, as they call it, the ability to ingest a catalog from a dealer or from a listing partners to auto-populate listings. Come the 13th or come Monday, the 13th of September, dealers will still be able to utilize Marketplace. They just have to list their inventory one by one utilizing our manual listing tool. So we announced that back in May. That was a fun week for me, but nonetheless, it was a decision that needed to be made for resources against really the e-commerce platform. To be honest, that's actually in the release. We had to put a lot of resources to e-commerce because our e-commerce is growing rapidly, where ultimately people want to see the ad and then instantly purchase the ad via an online checkout. And these impulse buys and how we buy and the behavior of how we buy now, which a lot of it can be learned and carried over into automotive, but nonetheless, those resources had to go over there. So the deprecation is the catalog, the ability to list via catalog.
Mm-hmm. Are you guys planning on having, when speaking to a few people, someone mentioned something around Dealers United. No idea where that came from, but something about maybe within a certain amount of time, I guess you guys would sort of reintroduce the automated, or you'll just have a list of certain providers that can provide that. Is that true?
Yeah, I can tell you where it came from. So we have what we call I call it a Facebook external dealer group or a community. We call it the Facebook Automotive Collective, which was created about a year ago, I think April of 2020. And the purpose of it was, we're not going to be able to. At the time, we knew we weren't going to be able to travel for a few months or however long it was going to be, but business needed to still continue, and the ability to present externally at scale. We used to have, our team used to travel the country and get in front of the dealer meetings and regional dealer meetings and conferences, and they were all gone. So we started the group. So when I made a post yesterday, just reminding people that the deprecation is on Monday, a gentleman commented that they had heard that Dealers United had a product that allowed for automation, and it doesn't allow for automation at the moment. And they didn't build anything that anybody else couldn't build. To be honest with you, what they did is 100% their vision, 100% their investment, 100% their build. And, there isn't any inclusive APIs or solutions that certain partners are getting that others are not. They're just being creative on what product they could build to help those dealers manually list. And I got to see it the other day. It's a pretty good product. It does make listing manually easier, but you're still listing manually.
Other than resources internally, were there any other decisions or any other reasons why they decided to get rid of Marketplace? Or I shouldn't say get rid of Marketplace, but the ability to automatically post. Was there any other reasons? I mean, I know whenever I'm in Facebook and I was searching, I think it actually took away from some of the experience with so many dealerships listing their inventory. And then seeing some of the little nefarious tricks that some of your larger, I don't want to say groups, but sort of like Carvana. What's the other one out there? I should know.
Vroom?
Yeah. How they're able to get all their vehicles in within one geo-targeted area and spread it across the states. But again, I just felt as if the experience itself, it just sort of took away from that experience. Was that another reason?
It was not. I mean, it was solely a resource decision for the focus on the e-commerce side of the business for marketplace. But what you bring up could be an interesting byproduct of the decision, right? Which is, what will the marketplace look like come Monday? Will it be cleaner? Will there be less duplication of VINs? So, I'm anxious to see what our marketplace will look like in the next few months, right? One day it's not going to be an instant change and we're going to see how it is. But over the course of the next couple of months, I'm anxious to see what it looks like. And I'm actually very hopeful that it will be a cleaner marketplace. So we'll see.
Well, we got one from the audience right now for you. So I'll throw that up on the screen. So is Facebook still going to include a fair market value tool like KBB?
Yeah, it's a good question. I've gotten that quite a bit. That's still going to be offered at this time. It's part of the marketplace listing. I don't know, Rick, if you're at a dealer or not, but I just want you to know if you are, I'm well aware of the impact that the pricing module has. So, but at the moment, it will still be on there.
Actually, the commenter here, Justin Rindos, who was just up there, he sent me something over before the show asking about micro data tags. You familiar with those?
Mm-mm.
It looks like it's part of developers, so might be something new. And if Justin's looking at it, it's probably very cutting edge.
Probably came out an hour ago, probably.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
don't know. I will look into it, but Justin, I'm not dodging the question. I do not know what microdata tags are, so I'd have to look into it.
Yeah, he got me curious about it too. So,
listen, man, there are. I just got off a clubhouse room with Kyle Mountsier and Leah Berman on how they're utilizing shops, which is not really an automotive product. It is an e-commerce product, but they're hacking, the e-commerce product to be utilized for automotive. So for me, it's great to see how partners and Leah's from a dealership, but how partners and dealers who spend some time and energy with us see value in and even other solutions we might offer that they might want to try to hack. So. There'll be more on that, I think, from what they're looking to do with shops, and we'll gather the learnings and see how it performs and see where it goes from there.
Hey, you got me thinking and speculating on what that could be like.
No speculation, man. Like they did it 100% themselves. I give them a lot of credit. So what I'm anxious to see is where it goes and how it performs and how people utilize it. Jared Kilway down at Germain in Naples, and he oversees a number of other Germain stores who bought Toyota of Sarasota, where I was at back in the day. So that's actually a nice little connection we have. But he's even looking to take it a step further and drive directly into the digital retail platform versus the VDP, right? Because we know when you can drive them in the DR, tends to be a higher close rate and higher engagement rate, et cetera. So I love when dealers and partners hack our products and we get to learn from it. That's kind of the point of the open ecosystem, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, speaking of that, so Ryan Montville, he's asking if there's a way to get leads directly into their CRM from Marketplace.
Yeah, that was something else I've heard a lot of questions around. I guess using the conversion API through Facebook. If there's a way to get that into the CRM. And I've heard some people trying to use Lead Bridge, which I'm not overly familiar with, to be able to set up some type of custom code. But sounds more like, basically a bootstrap of some sort.
Yeah, so leads are handled how the dealer handles messaging. Okay, so this is really important to understand. The primary form of communication on a marketplace listing is messaging. And that was done on purpose and by design. And while I know we tend to be a little bit slower here in the automotive world on adopting maybe newer consumer behavior, but messaging is a major, not only communication method, but has quickly become a buying method, right? Where people are buying through these instant shopping carts that happen to be through WhatsApp or through Messenger. And then even the customer service is through those two platforms. I don't know if you've ever bought a product and instead of selecting, the email, send me the tracking by email, you can now have it sent via Facebook Messenger. And then there's actually some marketing benefits beyond that if you get people to do that. So depending on how the messages are handled is really how the leads come in. So that's what you have to understand, that it's a messaging communication. It's not a lead form on Messenger.
Right. So the answer, Ryan, is Facebook doesn't want you playing in your CRM. They want you talking through Messenger.
Well, we want you to put the sale in CRM, right? But we want you to communicate or sell through the conversational tool, which is Messenger. Yep. And man, I was on a phenomenal, and this is not a plug, so all the partners that are on the line, don't send me a text here afterwards, but Dealer Inspire had a great messaging webinar a couple of months ago, and I have a huge passion for this exact topic. And as I was going through it, they gave some great stats about how messaging is actually at the same level or higher than it was during the pandemic when stores were closed and people couldn't go anywhere. And that was really the only way to communicate with the store. So, messaging is here to stay. Brian Pash, who you had on last week, I think he even mentioned his passion for conversational commerce. And he's got a great cartoon, which is, you wouldn't handle a physical up by saying, can I just have your phone number and email address and somebody will get back to you in a couple hours? Like it's so perfect to describe why you don't want to handle your messaging in a way that instantly turns it into a form lead or basically says, sorry, we don't do messaging, even though we offer it on our website. So we have seen great success. Well, you had Kevin Fry on here 2 times ago. He nailed it, right? Like formless websites, and they're seeing 2.5x higher appointment and close rates. And this makes complete sense. Like this, we're not even that smart. Like we don't need to be a statistician to figure out how it works. It's consumer behavior, right? Like if I messaged you, I have an interest in the product or service that you're offering. I want to talk to you right then and there about it. I don't want to give you my email and phone number and then go through that communication method, because by the way, I'm probably going to give you my junk folder email that I might not even get because I give you all businesses that email address.
Well, what is this blasphemous talk you're saying here, Bob? I mean, we've all known as car dealers forever that everybody wants to talk on the phone and schedule an appointment on the spot to come in on Saturday. Nobody wants to talk through the communication method they reached out through originally.
Guys, I'll tell you a great story really quickly. And I learned this. This is what I learned from the business. It wasn't me pushing it out, but I was at a 20 group meeting. I've done hundreds of them. I absolutely love 20 group meetings. For those on the line that don't know what a 20 group meeting, it's 20 non-competitive dealers that get in the same room a few times a year, usually at a really nice location, and they go over their financials and they try to help each other out. It's a great concept. And I was in a 20 group meeting. I introduced this 4 years ago, Marketplace, that we were going to potentially be coming out with Marketplace. And the primary form of communication was actually it was in beta, so it was actually out. But the primary form of communication was messaging. I had one dealer on my left go, the worst product ever. You guys should shut Marketplace down. It's the dumbest thing ever. And you're like, well, glad I flew out here for that. Thank you for your attention. And a dealer literally right across the way says, Tom, you're absolutely crazy. It's my number one sales driver for used cars. And then they just talked about it. Long story short, it came down to how messages were being handled. The gentleman who said it's their greatest sales tools, their in-house BDC handles all the messages, right? The other person used a bot that simply was trying to convert it into an email address and a phone number and had very, very low close rates or even engagement rates. So again, it's all how you manage the business. But who usually gets blamed? The platform, right? Never the person using the platform. But I guess it helps with job security and allows me to continue to evangelize on messaging.
Well, we've got a series of questions that are coming through. So Janine asks, is there a way to push inventory from shops to marketplace?
From shops to marketplace? No, not at the moment. I mean, they're two separate products. So you've got to be able to utilize the shop's flow, which actually is what that Clubhouse room was about an hour ago. You can utilize a pixel to create a catalog. You can create the shop. You can have the shop's catalog created for you. And then it's used for shops. And then marketplace is its own listing tool and its own platform. And in fact, the way I started that conversation about an hour ago was they're two very different products, right? One's a push and one's a pull, right? Shops is a nice push that then pulls people in, where marketplace is a pull because someone's doing a search to try to pull in, results that they are looking for. So they're two very different consumer behaviors, which is why they're two separate products. So at the moment, they're not tied to each other.
Gotcha. And then Anthony's asking, how do you change catalogs in the shop?
How do you change catalogs in the shop? I'm not exactly 100% sure what he's asking, but Shops has its own catalog. So you would create your catalog to Shops' specs, and then that catalog is what would power the shop. And obviously catalogs can be auto refreshed and updated on a certain cadence. So I think his question is, how do you create the catalog? And obviously we have a lot of documentation on that. So,
and he might be responding to Janine in the conversation.
He very well could be. And thank you for doing that if you were.
And then let's see. This looks like, we did. All right. So, are there any CRMs or plugins that would allow you to connect directly to Messenger?
Yeah, I know of two at the moment. It's not to say that there isn't more, but I know of two that have built off of our Facebook Messenger APIs so that you would communicate with the messaging in the CRM tool versus outside of the tool. And you've got DriveCentric that actually integrated it a number of years ago and did that really for Marketplace because they saw how powerful Marketplace was, and Vin Solutions. Those are the two that I know, but there very well could be. I've gotten thousands of emails and texts from partners saying I want to do that, and here's the APIs, but I can't follow up on every single one of them that actually did implement it or not. But if your CRM does not implement, please ask them to implement it, because I think it's a fascinating feature to be able to respond to a potential buyer right within your CRM, so everything can be auto logged.
Yeah, for sure. Jeff, there's a whole lot over here I'm looking at in Trello. I want to make sure we get there's so much.
Well, yeah, one of them was just about, and that was a question I had too, was what's in the fold for attribution? I believe right now it's sort of limited to 28 days.
Oh, that's funny.
Is there any...
Ryan Everson's question right up here too.
Yeah. No, good old Ryan, one of the best in the business. So let's talk about attribution. And when I'm talking about attribution, we're talking sales attribution, not online, conversions, whether it's VDP to click and so on and so forth. And it's I'll go over it very clearly, because 28-day actually still exists. It just exists through our through our. He's, you know what I love about him? He's not afraid to just say what's on his mind. So kudos to Ryan. So let's talk about 28-day sales matchback attribution, which is what we call offline conversions. We have an API for offline conversions, or you can manually upload a spreadsheet with your offline conversions or sales data into Facebook. And when I say sales data, I'm really referring to an email and a phone number. We're not looking for your margins or your gross and all of the above. You can do that if you want to measure lifetime value and then be able to market off a lifetime value. But for simplicity's sake, I mean, you're literally just taking people that bought from you, and those identifiers are really cell phone address and email address, and then they get matched to the profiles that have one or the other, and there are a few other identifiers, but gets matched to one or the other. And then we know if we delivered that person an ad or a number of ads. And click or no click, we can tell you that an ad has been delivered to someone who ended up buying from you. Well, we used to have a tool called Facebook Attribution, which gave us a 90-day look back window, but we've had to deprecate it for now until we figure out in this new world that we live in, with the iOS 14 updates and what a cookieless world looks like, what attribution looks like. So with the iOS 14 update that happened, about a month ago, I guess, we've had to take that 28-day window within Ads Manager to 7 days. Now, here's where it can get a little bit confusing. So, Ryan, and I know you're a code writer, so you could probably build this in a day, but our Insights API. So we have an API called the Insights API. The Insights API is still able to pull out 28-day look back. So now the Insights API is just that, an API. It's not a UI, right? It's not a dashboard. So someone would have to build off the API and then create the UI to deliver that sales matchback. So to just recap, Facebook Attribution is no longer. You'll hear about the new one coming out here down the road. Within Ads Manager, it's 7-day sales matchback. But through the Insights API, it can be 28-day look back. You just need to find a platform that utilizes the Insights API, and many partners do and have built off the Insights API, and it's one of their differentiators. Or you build it off the Insights API yourself, like Ryan probably will do, and feed it into his dashboard that he has built. So you can, it's still available. You just have to pull it from the Insights API.
I have a feeling one of our sponsors is doing that. I'm guessing it's one you use, Jeff.
Think so?
Yeah, I would be surprised if Driven Data was not doing that.
I'll tell you, I'm sure they are.
I hope so.
Yeah, I'll tell you, and this is something that I think most of the industry knows. Maybe some don't, but the iOS 14 update is not a Facebook only challenge, right? It's an industry challenge, right? And every application that goes through the App Store has to ask if they can follow you or track you or not allow. I think it says allow me to track you or allow the app to track you, yes or no. So, the whole retargeting audiences, online attribution, offline attribution. It's a big impact, right? And when whatever decision Google chooses to make, right, and whatever world cookieless browsers to make. I mean, we're in a whole new world, which means our measurement has to evolve. And the quicker those dealers who are quick to adapt will win. Those who are slow to adapt will spend a lot of wasteful money because they're utilizing tools or data that is inaccurate or incomplete.
I bet the memes that are going around. Go ahead, Jeff.
No, I was just going to say, as from someone sitting in the marketing chair, you hate it, but yet, when I get that request on my own phone, I'm like, hell no, I'm not letting them track me.
So, Jeff, you bring up a great point that I need to do a better job at bringing to the market, and it goes back to what we talked about earlier with HEC, when we had to make the change that did not allow ads that had credit or landing pages that had credit or employment or housing information to target by zip code, because the lawsuit stated if you could target by zip code and have this messaging in your ads or landing page, that's discriminatory, right? And that's discrimination. And the first knee-jerk reaction from our partners, like, what are you guys doing? You're so dumb. Like, you're going to lose all my business because one of the benefits of digital is targeting by zip code. It's like, dude, I totally get it. Like, absolutely. You think I'm happy about it, but at the end of the day, like, this is a real world issue. This isn't sort of just something that you care more about your marketing and your performance than anything else. And what the decision we made not only protected Facebook, but it automatically protected the business. So the business could not be deemed as discriminatory as well, right? Very similar to, I think businesses have to start to think about that mindset when they are looking to market, and how they want to market, and the audiences they use, and what they do. Because if I'm selecting, I don't want to be tracked, but yet I'm being tracked in some back alley way or through some other angle, and that dealership or that app or whatever it was, I already told you over here I didn't want to be tracked. How are you getting me over here? That can be challenging. So I'm anxious to see where that goes. I think dealers need to take that mindset of is the personality of it. Like, I'm just using this as an example. Jeff, you said you didn't want to, you had to think about it. Do I want to be tracked by this app? Yes or no? And if you said no, on the flip side, you're in marketing. You need people to be tracked so you can have better reports. So you got to, businesses, I think, need to start to be careful on that.
Yeah. And I was always would try to think about, a couple different ways. I mean, no matter what you're going to get marketed to. So do I want to be marketed to with a relevant message, or do I just want marketing in my face? And I don't know how many people think about it like that. But I think with technology and such, and just seeing how much, these companies just know about us, if I knew without a shadow of a doubt that there were no tracking, and, as our society moves forward, I'd probably be, if it was more transparent, then I would probably opt in to be tracked. Just because, again, I'm going to get marketed to no matter what I do. I mean, that's who we are. So why not be marketed to with a much more relevant message rather than, getting all these stupid ads for stuff but then at the same time, it also saves my pocketbook, because whenever I do get marketed to with those specific messages, I'm way quicker to hit that buy button. So I don't know. I don't know what is the pros and cons and the goods and bads in all this.
I really wish those Facebook ads didn't include Indiegogo and Kickstarter, because I fall into those every time.
Listen, I also have the $80 can opener that you take a beer can, and you turn it this way, and you're like, oh, it's a mug now. This is fantastic. I'm going to be the coolest guy at the party, right? Like, but if you get
I've seen that ad.
It costs less than $1 to actually produce, and I just spent $43.99 on it. But I had to have it because it was the coolest thing. I think that's going to be the question over time. And internally, one of our leaders copied and pasted a tweet from somebody random out there that said something to the effect of, I clicked not to be tracked, but now my advertising sucks. Please track me again so I can get more relevant advertising. And I always go back to the story again, because we were talking earlier about you guys were ripping on me on my age, and I'm near death, and I've sold every product that digital had. But I'm kidding with you on that. But when Gmail came out,
we didn't rip on you, but we can.
When Gmail came out, like, there was this uproar that consumers thought Google was going to read the emails and then display advertising relevant. And you're like, and they literally believe, like, oh, there's this whole building at Google that's going to read people's personal emails, right? And obviously that wasn't the case.
No,
right?
That's up to the NSA.
They were just delivering advertising based off of whatever the algorithm said was a keyword that they needed to extract out of it. And it was, again, that double-edged sword, because you had this camp over here that's like, this is ridiculous on privacy, and then you had camp over here like, that's pretty cool, like I can get some really relevant ads based on what my conversation is. So I think it's going to evolve. I think it has to evolve. And the bigger picture here is the local market. Right? When you start to limit targeting ability, who really gets hurt is the SMBs, the small, medium businesses, the ones that need that hyper local marketing to be able to compete, with the big national brands and the big boxes, et cetera. So, and that was one of, Mark Zuckerberg's biggest initiatives, especially when he was in front of Congress, was like, if you eliminate targeting, our ability to target, then you really hurt the small business, because then what targeting can I deliver to them? And I saw one, I don't know if you took it off, Alex, but I saw one talk about, the HEC ads getting automatically rejected. And I apologize for that. Like, our AI is over conservative in the sense of what gets rejected and what doesn't. But nonetheless, have the mindset of protection, right? We're not only protecting ourselves, we're protecting you as well. And as a business, you really should think about how you're going to market in a new privacy first world, which is why measurement also needs to be adopted to this new privacy first world.
How does the dealership get out of jail for that? I always hear about, and that actually happened to us as well. Somehow I got out of it.
And Ryan was like 14 when he was probably running that.
Right.
He was in like middle school. He probably wrote code on that. Yeah, it's crazy. I'm sorry, Jeff. I cut you off reading Ryan's.
No, that's okay. Is there something a dealership can do to get out of jail for having the special ad category credit, I guess, come down on them? Is there a way? Is there someone that they can contact to get out of that situation?
You can appeal in Ads Manager. You can appeal the ad, and trust, I'm well aware that many times people appeal and they run out of appeals and the ads don't get restarted. We do have a chat support, and you'd be surprised how many are not aware of our chat support. And this is one of the things they're trained on, right? Which is this exact subject. So, if you're not,
I have to do this, or my company has to do this all the time because we have payments that we generate for car dealers, and our ads have payments in them, but we're not using AIA, obviously. So we always get thrown in that rejected category. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, use the support. Fun. I mean, we're investing a great deal of time, energy, and more importantly, money into our SMB support. So make sure you go to business, facebook.com/business/help. And if you're an admin of the pages or ads manager, business manager, it'll actually pull up your assets, and then you can select where you're having issues, and then you can chat with our partner. But a lot of times people forget that the landing page is included in housing, employment, and credit, right? They'll say my ad says nothing, but then when you land on the landing page, it says pre-approval right in the center of the screen, which is not HEC compliant, right? Because that's part of the way it goes. So, but somewhere usually on the page there's a payment or a pre-approval or get financing. Now you can have that in the header and the footer. You just can't have it in the main frame of the page. So many times I get sent stuff and I'm like, I'll screenshot their landing page and I'll circle the payment, like, I didn't even know I had it there. Some widget powers it. I'm like, that's what's causing the denial.
That's a good tip. I'm taking that to the marketing team.
Landing page is usually 95% of the challenge.
Well, more about just putting it in the header. That's a good one. So Rick's got another question. Is Facebook doing anything to compete with Google My Business?
I mean, that's what Shops is ultimately, right? So as our search activity continues to grow on our platform, we have a search results page, and when you start to do that, you're going to start to see more search-based products. And with our right searches, usually the page gets brought up, right? If I do Lanham Toyota in there, and Lanham Toyota had a Facebook page, it's going to be brought up on the results page. So. I don't know how to answer that question because we're very different products, in terms of a search results page and a Facebook page. But I guess you could say, we probably beat Google to the Google My Business, since we were giving away free Facebook business pages for a long time, and then they just started this a couple of years ago. So. I don't think there's a bulletin board or a whiteboard anywhere that's like, all right, Google My Business, throw the darts at it. What do we need to do? I could be completely wrong on that, but I think our product portfolio is built for our product solutions, or how our products are made. So
you don't have dartboards aimed with Google signs on them, but you got them for Apple, right? I mean,
everyone thinks it's funny because I know every Google rep there's out there. I used to practically live with them on the road, right? And the rest of the team did. And everyone said, and I always hated getting this question, and because that's when I realized, okay, we have a misunderstanding of media, knowledge on how media works. But I always get the question, if I had $100 and should I spend it on Facebook or Google? I'm like, well, you're asking the wrong question. Well, what's your entire media budget first? Right? And if you say $200, we should be evaluating the $200, not just the 100 that you supposedly allocated to digital for some reason that probably nobody knows, except for the fact that you just arbitrarily put $100 or somebody told you to put $100. So, Facebook and Google probably are one of the better 1-2 punches media platforms out there, because what a lot of people don't think about is, Google captures intent, right? It's very, very, very intent driven. So it's capturing intent. But where is that intent created, right? The intent has to be created somewhere. And it could be TV, it could be radio, it could be the billboard, it could be Facebook, it could be whatever it is. But you have to understand how consumer behavior works, right? Like, I see an ad. I may not click on that ad right then and there, but that ad at some point triggered, I'm going to go do a search for that product. In fact, a couple of years ago, we had a study that for any product or service that was being advertised on our platform, we drove an incremental search activity for that product or service up to 30%. Meaning when they saw the advertising on our platform, they ended up doing a search for it. Well, in the last click attribution world, who gets the credit for it? Google, right? And I used to stand in front of dealers all the time, like, listen, if you believe last click is the measurement, man, go spend 100% of your budget on Google. I'll have no hard feelings, because they got plenty of intent. But most know that you have to drive intent. You have to create intent for your product or service. You're not doing that on a search, right? You're doing that outside of search with the hopes that one of their behaviors is searching, and you're there. So that's just understanding how media platforms work together and not work in a silo. And that's where those who understand what a media mix is and how a media mix powers their sales, not one platform or the other, they're the ones that tend to have the most profitable media plans, meaning, ad spend to sales in our world, PVR.
Well, speaking of, you did a presentation not too long ago around marketing, marketing mix and media modeling. Do you still have that presentation available? And what were some of the maybe 3 or 4 key takeaways from that presentation?
Yeah, and before I get to that, I mean, Tim Kelly says display also drives search. Yeah, I mean, that's I think a lot of platforms probably drive search, right? And that's where media mix modeling comes into play. So that presentation was for DMSC. So Brian Pash's event that usually is in May, but I think it was in July this year. It's funny you bring that up. I was going to ask him if I could post it, because I have the video file because I did it virtually and pre-recorded it. But let's just talk about.
It'd be great to have everyone deal at refresh.
I would love to. I can send it to you guys for sure. I would love to post it, externally, so everyone. First of all, for feedback, because it was my first go around at trying to truly simplify what media mix modeling is, because it can be a very sophisticated measurement if you want it to be, but it also can be a very simplified measurement. And let me just give you the elevator pitch, or the over summary of it, and then we can go from there. But really, media mix modeling is first understanding what your media mix is. And what is your media mix? It's everything you buy that's advertising and marketing wise. It could be a billboard. It could be an email blast. It could be pizza every Tuesday to drive people into the store for free pizza. Now, it's everything that is not only paid marketing wise, but the people that manage marketing mix modeling probably understand that there's a lot of non-paid marketing or non-marketing attributes, like a pandemic, your competition and their pricing, right? Like there's all weather, storms, hurricanes, like there's all these attributes that you have to throw into this model to kind of understand what is working and what is not. And here's the quick story. I had a dealer come to me a couple years ago and say, hey, on the side, would you help me build my media mix model and then guide me on what I should do, and have any huge passion for it? I was like, absolutely. So I go and I sit down with the GM, very large store, and I said, all right, can you send me this spreadsheet of everything that you buy advertising and marketing wise? What do you think he or she did?
Sent you as lead providers.
Stared at me.
Oh.
What? I said, okay. Do you have somewhere that has everything you're buying advertising and marketing? Because I've seen your TV commercial, so you buy
Hopefully.
TV. Yeah. Amanda, can you get that for Bob? Yeah, no problem. Any guesses how long it took this particular dealership to send me? And they didn't even send me everything, by the way. They sent me what they could figure out. How long it took them to send me everything that they thought they bought advertising marketing wise.
Oh my goodness, they should have had that right away for you.
Took them over a month, and I didn't even get it all. And I just finally said, I'm just going to estimate.
Oh, wow.
I don't have time to sort of wait on this. And that's the first step, which is outlining everything: traditional, digital, print, email. Like every expense. Yeah, again, I didn't get it all, so technically I am still waiting. But you have to map out every single expense. And I've done this for a couple of dealers, and all I did was create a spreadsheet and click the pie chart button in the top left-hand corner and sent them back. I'm like, hey, here's the distribution of your market. Well, holy crap. Had no idea. I was like, yeah, that's the problem, because you've never mapped this out before. And, go back to, I can't remember who it was that talked about display, but like, that's what the model does. When you put everything in there and then you match it back to your sales, you now know the power of your model. Okay, this is what my model provides. It provides me X return, right? Whether that's PVR or number of sales, whatever you want to look at. Then you look at the model and say, okay, what do I need to do to make it better? Maybe I need to spend. Well, I want to spend less but drive more, or I want to drive more awareness versus drive more, intent, or whatever the scenario. And then that's where you start to optimize the individual components of the media mix. Let's go back to Brian's research that he just launched that you had on, right? That's looking at one of the media platforms and making it better and saying, hey, what we have found is not set up correctly. So it's falsely powering the model. And when they set it up correctly, you're going to see quickly, if there was a model for these dealerships, what power it did. And I'll close with this last story. I'm a storyteller because it's just an easy way to explain. But I had a pretty well-known dealer call me up. I get this all the time. And they say, hey, I just got a pitch from this partner, this vendor. Any good or not? And I'll say, what's the purpose? Are you looking to buy them to drive incrementality above and beyond what you're already bringing in? Or are you looking to bring them in to replace a partner or two to get a better return at a cheaper price? Like, what is your goal? I don't know. I just want to know if the partner was any good. I was like, okay, well,
you were talking to a dealership for sure.
I was like, well, let's talk about what your purpose is. Like, let's say it costs $8,000. So you're just going to add $8,000 onto your existing expense. And we all know advertising and marketing for dealers is second or third largest expense. Right, so it's a big number, right? And then in aggregate, it's billions of dollars, right, throughout the year. So I said, all right, let's say it's $8,000. So you spend the $8,000, you keep your existing, spend. They have to bring $8,000 in profit just to break even, and then obviously you want them to bring more. Mm-hmm. But if they were replacing maybe a $15,000 a month partner, right? Well, heck, right now. Right, you're saving quite a bit of money, and if they perform the same, if not better, you just made your media mix stronger at a less cost, and that's actually what my presentation talks about. And I've had a number of dealers create their model, and they first go, "Holy crap, I didn't even know I bought half of this stuff," and then the second part of it is, "Man, I could do this better," and the third part is they actually spend less and get a higher return.
Yeah, I can't imagine being in that position and not having that already figured out.
Listen, everything's bought in a silo, right? Like,
yeah,
they're buying this, they're buying that, and I have a lead gen strategy, I have this strategy. Well, you got to put it all together, because, like I said earlier, media platforms do not work in a silo; they actually power each other, right? Mm-hmm. And when you understand that, only the model will help you figure that out. So you have to look at your media investment holistically, not in a silo.
Yep, it's. I remember. Back in my dealer days, we were buying, I think, our second CRM. This is early 2000s. And they asked us to map out our process flow. And that was, customer walks in and we sell them car. That was our process flow. So yeah, it's some of those, some of these things are kind of 101, but I think it's great to bring it up and help dealers see that there's a lot more going on. And dealers especially, they never realize like just how complex and how busy and what's going on in their stores is when you start to open eyes to the thing, to that, the where they end up going is pretty impressive.
Well, listen, I've done GM school training, right? And they tell you there's 3 expenses you got to monitor on a monthly basis because they can make or break your profitability. And the first one's payroll, right? It's people. That's pretty much every business's largest expense. Second one's advertising and marketing. And the third one is the floor plan. Old days, right? Like pre-chip shortage. So those are the 3. Right, but you ask a dealer principal or a GM that's running the store. Okay, what's your payroll? Oh, it's $3,462. Great. What's your floor plan? Oh, my interest rate's 2. This how much money you spending on your advertising marketing? They don't know how much money we're spending on advertising marketing. Like it's fascinating, and it's like, man. And we tell you what you buy and how you buy your second largest expense. 100% defines your profitability. Like it's undebatable. So we have to take it a little bit more serious than just what Google Analytics tells us.
Are there any tools out there or templates that a dealership can utilize where they could just fill in the blanks and it would, spit out the results?
Not that I know of at the moment. In fact, I dabbled in creating a very basic spreadsheet that was like fill in the blank.
I used to have one.
You know, Jeff, it's funny you say that because I've had a number of conversations on this subject. Because, listen, media mix modeling or marketing mix modeling is a privacy-first measurement. It doesn't need pixels. It doesn't need cookie data. It doesn't need anything. It doesn't need any privacy consumer data, right? It is pure understanding expense to sales. So that's important to understand because that's something that needs to be considered. But I've had this conversation like, man, you know what? When I started in the business, I used to do that. I haven't done that in like 15 years or 20 years. I'm like, exactly. Like when was I had one company, I'll not name, but they were asking, hey man, how can you help us? I want to sell more Facebook. We know it works. Like, help me. And I said, okay. How do you sell us? And we go through all that. And I'm like, okay, well, how do you know what to sell a dealer if you don't know what they're already buying? Like that should be the first question. What do you already do? What are you doing today? I need to know everything you're doing today, TV wise, print wise, display wise, programmatic wise. And a number of audits that I've done, they buy Facebook like 6 times. I'm like, do you realize everyone is putting Facebook in their package? I didn't really think about that. Well, of course, because you just write the check and go. And it's not a bash on dealers at all. It's really hopefully for them to say, man, I really do need to get a better handle on one of my top 3 largest expenses because what I buy and how I buy our advertising and marketing truly defines our profitability. So it's funny that you say that because I've had a number of people say, man, I used to have that spreadsheet or I used to track that for my business over here. It is now time to bring it back because it's almost a must.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, I've got one, but it could definitely be expanded upon. Alex, we should try and find either a vendor out there that maybe already offers this or get something together for the community to be able so they could just jump on Dealer Refresh and either plug the numbers in there or some type of spreadsheet they can download. That'd be really useful.
Yeah. I had one in the works and it just, time went by, but Alex, I don't know who the person was before that, but I'd love to send them to your previous Dealer Refresh with Jeff Weiler on that one, because man, we have seen 2-3x, higher appointment set rates, close rates on vehicles when the dealer's handling messages themselves.
Well, if they're handling the messages right, to get back to your point, it's one thing to say, hey, I got a BDC. Hey, we're going to start using chat behind or messenger behind all of our lead forms, and you guys answer them today.
Great.
Without any training, it might be just as good as that AI bot that guy in that 20 group was
That's
using.
that's a great point. And, to hear the David Canes of the world, obviously Brian's got a huge passion for it, talk about messaging and message handling now versus, phone call, text. It's great. It's great to hear. It really is good to see that some of the best consultants in the business have realized, holy crap, messaging is here and it's here to stay. We need to treat it like it's a physical up.
And actually, there's been a number of questions in here we didn't get to today.
I have time. It's up to you guys.
Oh, perfect. All right. Well, then I lied to you. Was it Matt? So we'll do Matt's first because his is a bit deeper, and then we'll jump into Ryan's next. So, who's using Facebook chat on their website? Let me start with that.
So I think he's asking about the Facebook plugin, which is basically the Facebook logo, and you'd click and you'd instantly open up the Facebook framework, so it has the same look and feel. Many people use Facebook Marketplace, which is Facebook messaging, right? And then it goes to the third party provider, and they're using a different window, right, to look at. So I'll tell you, without telling you, we've got some really interesting tests going on the chat. We call it the chat plugin because there's this concept you have to think about, which is, do we really believe it's Alice that you're about to chat with when the pop-up appears on the bottom right-hand corner? The pretty blonde Alice, is that really the person we're getting ready to chat with?
It starts off as Rachel and ends up with Larry,
on some platform that we don't know, or we've got Facebook Messenger on our phone and have had it downloaded on our phone for 8 years, and I use it every single day, 100 times a day. Do I feel more comfortable in the trust that I have in a platform that I use? So that's really the mindset. And I'm not here to say one is better than the other at the moment, but we're doing some great research on those who have added the chat plugin and did they see a difference. But Alex, to your point, it all comes down to how the chat is then ultimately handled. I mean, it's really the framework is, did you get more or less chats? Because again, the handling is the key. So we'll see. It's just again, it's a mindset of what people are willing to click on and why, and what do they feel more comfortable with. But I know all the third-party chat providers, so they all truly do deliver a great service. My biggest challenge of it is I just don't want a conversation to be turned into a form lead. It's absolutely counterintuitive. It's not why Matt Wilson, I don't know if you know him from Redback Advertising, is actually a really funny guy. He said, you know what, if you don't want to do messaging, don't even offer it on your website. Which is actually so. If you want the phone call, just phone number only. And then people will call you. So I thought that was a really good point.
I couldn't agree more with that. So Ryan Everson's got one.
Shocker.
So Instagram.
Yeah, I get that question often. Ryan, we do have what we call Creator Studio that you can manage all of your assets that some people have a face for chat. Fair point. I don't, but maybe Jeff does, clearly does. Creator Studio is what it's called, where you can do content distribution across multiple Facebook pages and Instagram handles. Your message inbox is all in one. So we do have a tool. The feedback that I always get is, well, that's great for the Facebook properties, but it doesn't help with all of the other properties that I have. So I can't do, complete syndication and complete metrics. So I'll completely understand that follow up. So Ryan, I'll ping you Creator Studio and you can recode it after you check it out.
Well, we've got Ryan on Refresh Friday later this month, so be sure to watch, Bob, and bring the hard comments for him.
Listen, I have a great respect for Ryan and many others in the business is he's very open about his business, right? The wins and the losses, right? He truly wants the business the industry to get better. So I mean, he's posting stats from Garber, and he's posting this and posting that, and it only makes us all better. So, and look, there's not one way to do things. I totally get that. I'm not here to say, hey, you should do it this way or not. But at the very least, if you've been doing something for a long period of time, most likely consumer behavior has changed for many reasons. Like, it might be time to reconsider how we've been doing business. And I think lead gen is probably one of the main ones. But then, how we measure media, we have to change that. It's going to be forced to change. So you might as well get ahead of it now.
Yeah. Well, how about we do one last question? And this was one that was up on the screen a minute ago. We'll get it back up there. So more about resources. So what are some things that dealers can go to learn more about how best to use Facebook advertising? And
yeah, great tee-up question. So thank you, Rick, for that. And I don't know you, so that's even better. But
he's like a good one to get to know, by the way.
That's great. Like I said, about a year ago, a little more than a year ago, we started what's called the Facebook Automotive Collective group. So just go on Facebook, do a search for Automotive Collective, and it's a group where we're almost 5,000 strong of agency partners and dealers and people related to the industry. And when you go in there, you see that people are posting about all types of topics, not all Facebook and Instagram related, by the way. I mean, they're talking about Google My Business and a few other things. So it's not like we censor it. We want you to talk about those type of products to see how they don't work. So it's great. So, did that slip? Sorry. Let me continue on. No, but it's a great resource. Like, people will post, hey, I'm having a problem with Business Manager. And then 6 people will jump on like, oh, have you tried this? And like, oh yeah, that worked. Ryan's actually a big contributor. I know we talked to him about, but there are a number of, it's very community driven. So it's not just Facebook. Like I said, I don't have all the answers. I actually learn from you all, our partners and dealers every single day. So I read it every day and I'm learning. But that is probably the best resources is the Facebook Automotive Marketing Collective. The second one is just do a search for Facebook Dealer Playbook. I wrote a playbook about 3 years ago. I'm actually in the midst of refreshing it. And making it more interactive versus a massive PDF that you download, and don't do it in color because you'll rip your printer cartridges in 3 pages. So we have a playbook with 4 strategies. I mean, I'm telling you, follow those strategies and you'll see some great success. So, and the playbook is very detailed. So Business Manager and Ads Manager, reporting, et cetera. It is a few years old. So some of it is a little bit outdated. So I am refreshing it as we speak.
Yeah, it's not like anything's changed in the last 3 years. So,
we joked because we're like, well, how much do we put in here? Because tomorrow, like, Business Manager is probably going to change. So it's like, okay, I guess. But at the time, we needed a detailed leave behind that people could go to and download and read for themselves. Okay, Facebook says to do this, and Ryan's bringing up Facebook Blueprint certification. That's another resource. I think we have over 1,000 videos related to execution on Facebook and all types of topics. So, and you can get certified for Facebook. So thank you for bringing that up. So Dealer Playbook, the Facebook Automotive Collective Group, Blueprint, and Dealer Refresh Lives.
That's the most important one.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, Bob.
Awesome.
We've thoroughly.
Yeah, Bob. Thank you so much. It's been great.
Anytime, man. I truly do. Listen, I know, like I said, I know we're not a perfect platform. I know it has its challenges and that cause great frustration. Know that I am on everyone's side trying to fix what can be fixed. We're a big company, so some things do take some time. A lot of stuff's out of my control. Obviously, there's 1 or 2 levels before you get to Mark and me, maybe 1,000 levels. But nonetheless, I do know I am trying to do my best to do what we can. And we, more importantly, just thank you all for your trust in our platform and everything that you do with us. And keep pushing me, and I'm going to keep learning from you.
Well, thank you, Bob. Hopefully we can have you on again, maybe after you've got your guide updated to
new
to
playbook.
modern
That'd be great.
I love it.
That'd be perfect. Awesome.
All right.
All right, gentlemen.
Thank you, guys.
Till next week, everybody.